I think that probably the biggest decline in the Western world I have to accept, even though I partake in it and even though I am guilty of it. I think the biggest failing of the Western world is that men and women do not stick together anymore. I think it would fix a lot of problems.
I find that very fascinating that that's the problem. You teach men to be better men and to fix their problems. Don't run away from it. But you know that monogamy is a challenge for you, but you don't want to...
It's not a challenge. Monogamy is not a challenge for me. Monogamy is a decision that every man must make. But for you to make that decision, you have to sit down and decide that, this woman is worth me being monogamous to, which is fine. I think the biggest struggle that men have in the Western world today is finding a woman who they believe is worth being monogamous to. I don't think men have a problem with monogamy as much as men have a problem finding a woman who they truly believe they should be monogamous to. Russia's a Christian nation. There's a lot of Muslims as well, but it's traditionally a Christian nation. But if you're a very rich, powerful Russian man, and I've been to Moscow, I can assure you, you have maybe 4 or 5 wives. Or not wives, 4 or 5 girls.
Yeah.
And your wife understands about who the other girls are, and she doesn't really care. Don't look, don't care, don't ask. I have a Bentley, I have a big house, I have the children. He plays around with these other girls sometimes. I don't care, I'm his wife, and that's just how things are set up. That particular man who's very, very rich, he's not interested in pornography, he's not interested in prostitutes, he's satisfied, he has enough for whatever his ego desires or his heart desires. Then you look at the West, and you look at the most degenerate things which can possibly happen, which are actually levels above prostitution and pornography. If you look at Epstein's Island, for example, when you have very rich, powerful men and they're told by the public sphere, you're not allowed to have more than one woman, but they don't have God to control them. They're godless. Then they say, okay, well, how can I satisfy myself if God's not restricting me? The society's saying I can only have one woman. I'm not allowed to have 4 or 5, which would satisfy me in some regard for my ego or unhealthy reason or whatever my reason is. So I'm gonna end up doing things in private. I'm gonna end up doing things in secret. And then you have Epstein's Island appear. I got banned because I became monumentally popular. I became hugely successful. I became the most Googled person on the planet. And then they make up a reason to get rid of you. And I'm banned on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Uber, Airbnb, Gmail, WhatsApp.
You can't get an Uber?
I can't get an Uber, no. Gmail, WhatsApp, you name an application.
All for standing up for what you believe in.
Well, yeah. I mean, I made some satirical jokes, of course. And
Could you give me an example of something that you've said that you may have crossed the line?
I don't think I ever said anything that truly crossed the line. I'm going to stand by this because I don't believe in regrets and I don't believe in sitting here and saying sorry for anything because I'm not a coward. If I made a video 10 years ago that got 84 YouTube views and me and my brother were joking about how women can't park and women shouldn't drive. Yeah. And then I became the most Googled man on the planet. And then that is found and then a bunch of feminists get upset by it. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and beat myself up over that. That's life. Yeah. Oh, well. Shit happens. So let me give you a very simple example of why I believe masculine empowerment is how we actually get closer to God and how we fix the fight we're in against the matrix. COVID. COVID was emotional arguments. They came along and said, your grandma's gonna die. The old people, your grandma, your grandma. They used emotional arguments. Emotional arguments to create fear. That works on a woman. A woman sits there, I love my grandma. Most men would sit there and go, wait.
Let's just chill.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Grandma's already 94. Grandmas die. So I don't think we should be taking our kids out of school. Let's just calm down. Men are more stoic and more patient. If you had a household where the man's been feminized and the woman's in charge, it's over for that house. They're full COVID cucks head to toe. 10 vaccines. They are. If you had my household where my girlfriend ran in, did you see the news? Shh. Shut up. It's stupid.
Okay,
and then it's fixed.
So wait.
But no, this is the point. Fear. You're
yes.
talking about fear, the devil using fear. Absolutely correct. How does he scare people? He scares cowards. He scares people who can't fight. He scares women. He scares people who are not prepared to stand up and resist. So masculine empowerment is absolutely and utterly how you battle the devil. You need men to be as strong and capable as possible.
Okay.
I don't think I try and be polarizing. I tried to be abrasive because I grew up in a world where I was hit very hard by life, and I think life is abrasive, and I think you learn lessons with a degree of abrasiveness. I think if things are too soft and too well explained, you don't learn them. Yeah. And you can apply that to nearly anything, right? You can go driving your car and drive fast, and you can nearly lose the tires 10 times, but you're not gonna stop driving like an idiot until you hit a tree. And then you're gonna be like, okay, I've learned my lesson. Yeah. So perhaps when I display a point, if I have to self-analyze and answer your question as a professional, when I try and get a point across, if I can do something or say something which is a bit abrasive, I feel like it teaches better. I'll give an example. If I say women aren't very good at parking, as opposed to females have no spatial awareness. So it's the same thing, but one of them enrages the world. In fact, both of them make them mad, but the second one really makes them mad. Don't call women females. They hate that.
I don't.
Yeah, but I'm just warning you. But then they all get upset.
They actually get upset if you call them a female?
Absolutely. I sit on these panel shows with a bunch of women, and I'll say
What
something
do you if
I'll just say, well,
what do you respectfully call them?
females. I just call them female.
No, I know, but if they get offended by that, then what do you call them?
Well, exactly. But this is my point. So I can decide how abrasive I want to be. You can say the same thing in different ways, and then you're asking me why am I abrasive to be deliberately polarizing? Because I feel like it gets my message across better. I feel like it gets my message across better.
When a storm hits, the storm is still hitting.
Yep.
But there's a difference from you drowning in the storm or standing above the storm.
Absolutely.
And I think that you're always going to have challenges and obstacles.
Storms are going to come.
But I guarantee you, there's obstacles that you could walk through with a smile on your face that another man could fall apart.
Absolutely. I've just been through some, and I'm sure I'll have more.
What was it?
Well, why did they make people put on a mask when they walked in the restaurant and take the mask off to eat and then put it on to go to the toilet and then take it off to eat and then put it back on? Because
I have
I'll tell you why, because it's funny.
You think it's just because it's funny?
Because it's an ego. Because it's ego.
I thought it was the test to see how far they could push something.
Compliance tests.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing. So when you really understand that people who are in charge of the world are completely, like you said, broken. There are broken people. Money can't satisfy them. Yeah, but then you understand what money is, right? So we say about money not being real. Money is not real from a governmental perspective because they just print it. It's nothing. But money is truthfully the stored time and energy of other people. If you have money, you have stored time and energy of other humans.
Because people are hourly rates.
That's right. Because I can take that money and make someone else use their time and energy for X thing.
Got it. So it's a different version of slavery.
Absolutely. Because if I'm going to come along and say, you're no longer my slave. As my slave, you had to work for a house and a car. You're no longer my slave. In slavery, let's actually look at slavery.
Slavery began that way.
Yeah, and slavery said, you work on my plantation, I'll give you somewhere to eat.
Or I'll give you my daughter.
Yeah.
This is how people would work. And that's why they were like, oh, your Bible believes in slavery. I'm like, slavery was different. It wasn't like, there was bondages and there was slavery. That's why the Egyptians, that's a whole different type of slave. But the origination of slave was like a debt. I'm paying you a debt.
Yep, completely. So let's look at even American slavery, the slavery that most Americans understand. You're going to work for me, I'm going to give you a house, and I'm going to give you food, and you're going to stay here and you're going to work. Slavery is abolished. So now what do? You're going to work for me, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you some money, and that money is enough to only buy you a house and some food. We've just put money in the middle. Now, if I can make you do whatever I want for money, and I can print as much money as I want, you're my slave. Because I can print it from the sky, and you need it to live. So you are my slave. Money's not real. So I have all of this money. I have the stored time and energy of other humans. And once you get past a certain level of wealth, you understand, which ties back to COVID, that you're not interested in money. What you're interested in is people. It's always been about having good people around you. You want a beautiful, doting, loving woman who's obsessed with you. You want good brothers who will stand by you and make you motivated. You want bodyguards who are going to protect you. You want people. And then you want to look at it further down the rabbit hole. You want to get more sinister. If you've been born into a lineage or a dynasty or the people who control the world, you want robot people. You don't want to be spoken to disrespectfully. In your empire, in your podcast empire, right? You now have a podcast. Would you allow a member of staff to come along and say, this is bullshit. I don't like how you do this. This is shit. You're shit. Or would you fire him?
I don't know if I would fire them. I would first try to teach them how to behave.
And if they didn't listen?
They're out.
Absolutely. So let's imagine you ran a country.
Okay.
All right. Let's imagine you ran the world. And then let's imagine there's this guy called Top G who sits down there and becomes the most Googled man in the world for telling the world that COVID's a lie. And you're making everybody run around and do everything you say. You're going to allow that person to get away with it? And now you start to understand, that's how the Matrix operates. But most people you could replace with ChatGPT by text, you wouldn't even notice. And that is a free application, which is brand new. Imagine we're going to be in 20 years from now. So we start talking about useless eaters. This has been discussed by very important, very powerful people at length. The same people who are trying to give you the vaccine are talking about the fact that the population of the earth needs to decline. Why do we need, they say it, Bill Gates says it. Why do we need to get rid of people? Well, machines will do it. So why do we need people sitting around who have hopes, dreams, aspirations? They want health care, they want safety, security, children, all of this garbage. We just need somebody to do X job, and a machine can do X job. So what do we need these people for? So then you start looking.
I find it weird that Hollywood was the first one to strike about it, but it was about actors.
Well, yeah, because have you ever asked ChatGPT to write a movie?
Like that?
Bro, it's better than anything you've seen in Hollywood in a long time. There's no woke bullshit. There's no trans, lesbian, black, double-dicked fucking hero. So it's great. Life as a man is shit. It's always been shit. It's never been good. When men wake up and say, I'm depressed and life is hard and I'm sad and I'm struggling right now, I say, okay, Throughout history, men have always struggled. Happiness is for children and women. Name a time in history it was better to be a man. Was it better to be a man in World War II? Was it better to be a man on the Titanic? Was it better to be a man in the Napoleonic Wars? Was it better to be a man when you were sitting in Vienna and the Mongol horde arrived, ready to decapitate any male and enslave all the females? When's it ever been good to be a man? Building the pyramids, was that fun? It's always sucked. The only time being a man ever is good is if you become an exceptional man, which is even something feminists admit. Because feminists sit and complain about men and say, well, men have this, men have that. But they're talking about 2% of men.
Fascinating.
They don't talk about all men. They say men have the best jobs. 2% of men have the best jobs. Most men carry trash. So you're talking crap. So everyone accepts that the best possible human experience that exists is the top 2% of men. Anything below that sucks as a man. You're better off being a chick. So what I say to men is, look, life's hard. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to suck. It always has. The only way to get out is to become excellent and perform at a level where your echelon is so high that you get to live this brand new experience. You need to become strong and smart and interesting and charismatic. You need to become rich, powerful, well-known, connected. You need to do it. I think male depression can be fixed with respect.
I want to tap into depression. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that it's massively overdiagnosed. I say depression isn't real because I speak in absolutes. I think the idea of feeling depressed is real. I don't feel like it's a clinical disease that you catch from the sky and it can't be fixed. I feel like depression is feedback, pain is feedback, and your mind and body is telling you something must change. And if you make those changes, you will feel happier. I don't buy into the idea that it is a disease. I think it's situational, and you must change your situation and your actions and your decisions to feel better. And that's why I say it's not real. It's not a disease. Robin Williams, his mistake is that he went to a therapist who confirmed his bias, confirmed he's depressed. They then sat there and talked about being depressed 3 times a week for 2 hours a day. Then they put him on mind-altering drugs to make him feel better. And after 9 years of therapy, he jumped off a building. If I were to take mind-altering drugs and talk about being sad all day, every day, I'd probably jump off a building too. I don't believe in things that take away power from me. I don't care if depression is real. I don't care if I'm wrong. I don't believe in something that takes away power from me because I can't become depressed if I don't believe in depression. And that allows me to shield my mind from the idea of being a depressed person. I can feel depressed temporarily, but I can never become a depressed person because it doesn't exist. You can lock me in a Romanian jail cell for 93 days with cockroaches. I will not be depressed. I will feel a little bit sad, of course, but I will never become a depressed person because I don't believe in it. And when I say this, depressed people are like, no, depression's real. It's ruined my life. It's taken everything from me. Depression's real. Depression's real. I said, you sound like it's promotional team. You sound like it's
their
PR
God.
team.
It's their God. They're worshiping it.
You're worshiping it because it gives you a cure-all excuse for your monumental failures, as opposed to waking up and going, you know what? Maybe I'm a fuck up. Nothing to do with depression. Maybe I've just been fucking up. Maybe depression isn't real and I've just been fucking up and I should fix a few of these things.
What have I been reaping?
Absolutely. And you'd be amazed how depression will lose power over your life and lose its ability to destroy your life if you stop giving it so much respect. And
I believe that some people are depressed every single day, but I believe that their steps into fixing that is 1, first and foremost, find God immediately. 2, instead of running to somebody and expressing your problems every single day, just sitting there, just telling somebody your problems every single day, find some friends, go to the gym. Instead of talking about your problems, talk about your goals, talk about your dreams, focus on something that is not negative. If there's 2 wolves, and I'll say this every time, I've said this a few times, there's 2 wolves, Andrew. One's chained up in the dark, one's chained up in the light. Which one lives?
yeah, absolutely. The one in the light.
The one you feed.
If you're the kind of person who searches for happiness, whether male or female, in my experience, people who search for happiness end up doing hedonistic, temporary, stupid things. When I find men who search to feel proud of themselves, I want people to be proud of me, and I want to be proud of myself, and I want to be respected. They often delay happiness. They often go through very difficult things and build things which are beautiful or build things which are difficult to do. They often go to the other side of fear to feel that pride. I did it. I faced my fear. I did it.
Yeah.
So I think as a man, searching for pride or searching to feel proud is a pretty positive mindset for masculine achievement. Yeah, which is the coward's ways out. But I actually love feeling stressed. I do best when I'm stressed.
It pushes you.
I've had 87 professional fights. For about 3 of those fights, for some reason, I wasn't nervous. And it really bothered me. I was like, why am I not nervous? I like feeling nervous. I like being stressed. I fight better. I react quicker. Have you ever been jumped? Like you get scared if someone jumps out at you? That's when you're the fastest you've ever been.
Yep.
So I think stress is a fantastic motivator. It's a beautiful thing. But in wars, it's interesting. In wars, if you look at any war, they'll talk about 12,000 people died here. And one of them was this guy. There's names and there's numbers. So if you're going to go to war, you can decide, do you want to be a name or a number? Because people are going to die. People are going to die regardless. And this is why I teach the things I teach. I say to men, listen, you need to become as strong as possible. You need to make a bunch of money. You need to prepare. You need to have 7 passports in 7 different countries. And you just start sitting there getting paranoid and panicking and getting things done. This is why I push masculine excellence, because when they come for you, when they come for us all, if you have no weapons to defend yourself, you're going to be one of the 12,000 in the ditch.
So you're going to be numbers.
At least when they kill me, they know who they killed. At least they'll say they killed 12,000 men and Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
At least I get that. You have to aim for something. One of the best things about money is I've managed to create my reality absolutely. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. If you come to me and say we can make $100 million, but I don't like your shirt, then you can get fucked. That's my life now, because I don't need money and I don't like you. So that's who I am, right? So I've created my reality absolutely. And the number one thing I will not do is talk to negative people. I don't want to hear, I don't care what your story is. I don't care what happened. If all you do is complain, you are not around me, because it is sticky. It's sticky to you. It's sticky to the universe. It leaves a residue. I don't want to hear it. Everyone around me is happy. And not only happy, we're the kind of people, if we're in a trench and we're getting shelled, we're laughing.
Yep.
We're like, missed. Woo-hoo. That's who we are. Bro, they just hit me with the largest matrix attack on the planet. I should be destitute and disappeared. Here I am on your podcast. I just pulled up in a brand new sports car. I'm like a cockroach, and you drop the nuke to kill everyone. The cockroach crawls out with Top G on the back. It's all hilarious, bro. It's a joke. Human trafficking for TikTok. The whole thing's a joke, but here I survive. So you have to be that person. And even my brother and I in jail, sometimes we just look at each other. We'd be sitting there in jail, and sometimes we'd look at each other and just burst out laughing. Like, this is so ridiculous. But I don't have time for negative people. Some people only learn the hard way, especially men. God's actually very nice, because I believe God gives us a whole bunch of chances to learn a lesson the easy way.
It's called life.
Of course, he'll give you, think of the harshest lesson. You don't even have to say what it is, but think of the harshest lesson you've had in the last few years. And think of how many times you had the easy way to learn that lesson. You could have just stopped being a dickhead before it got bad.
Like that.
Think how many times you could have just woke up and go, nah.
Yeah.
But we don't, do we?
Nope.
We wake up like, we got away with it. It's fine. And then bam, you get hit. There's only 2 ways to learn lessons, hard and harder. If you're smart, you take it the hard way. Real idiots take it the hardest way.
Yeah.
But there's no easy way to learn lessons. I am the most popular person on the planet amongst the masculine youth, which is the most feared demographic of any country, of any nation. You need them heavily psyoped for a few reasons. One, if a bunch of masculine youth get together, it's not a demonstration, it's a revolution. That's the first thing. If women start complaining with picket boards, it's a demonstration. If masculine youth get together, it's a revolution.
Then you're dangerous because you don't even have a country.
Correct. All of them. Across the country, across the world.
So they probably thought you were a terrorist.
Well, I could be. And that's what they're afraid of. So let's continue. So I have the number one demographic the Matrix needs to psyop. 1, because of the revolutionary thing. 2, because you need them. They're the backbone of the slave force. You need them to build the roads. You need them to do the real work for low pay. They're the backbone of the slave force. They do the worst, hardest jobs for the shittest money, and they're the most depressed and most unhappy, and then women don't want to date them because they ain't got a Lambo, and they're sitting there depressed and unhappy, working their ass off, paying their taxes. You need those men psyoped. You don't want me coming along saying there's another way. And 3rd, you need them to die in the military. You need these people. And I'm sitting here speaking to the exact people they don't want me speaking to. UK schools have banned me. Also, and I want to say this here, I think it's the first time I've said it, I don't want to take too much credit, but I do believe the Matrix is cracking. I do believe now we live in an internet where you can say things you couldn't say 2 years ago, where information is different.
Pendulum.
Oh, it's swinging. It's swinging. And I feel like I'm a huge part of that.
Dude, I'm not here to gas you up, because then I just look like the guy is sucking up to you. Again, there's a lot of things we disagree on, so I'm not sucking up to you. But I don't think anybody had the balls that you had.
Oh, absolutely. I went guns blazing at them, at the Matrix. And I went guns blazing at them. And I said on an earlier podcast, I said, this is a 3-stage plan. The Note Boys asked me, and they said, you became the most famous man in the world. You became the most Googled person on the planet. Every single TikTok video is you. Why did you do this? I said, this is a 3-stage plan. Stage 1 was to become the most known person on the planet, and stage 2 was to get canceled. That's how you put a crack in the dam, for everybody to know who I am, and then know I'm canceled and try and find me somewhere else. And now,
oh shit. So you wanted to get canceled to show that doesn't even matter.
And I'm bigger than ever before.
So technically, dude, this song has been sung before when Jesus died and then came back.
Well,